Hi everyone, and welcome to my first episode for 2021. Happy New Year. So glad we've all made it this far. It was certainly a difficult 2020 and possibly an equally difficult 2021. So yeah, to all those people who thought 2021 was going to be like pressing a reset button, I guess they have realized otherwise. I mean, we've literally started the year with new lockdowns, and I can imagine it's not very encouraging for many people who are hoping for a completely new slate and kind of hoping things would sort of get back to normal. But we keep the faith, we keep hoping, we keep praying for things to get back to normal. And in the meantime, we continue to grow and to learn new things and to make the most of the situation as is. So in today's episode, I am going to be talking about timelines. So that's the general gist of the conversation, but stick around to find out more. So the beginning of the year is a very exciting time for most people. Everyone is kind of amped up by this new energy of a new year. And everyone's setting resolutions, setting goals, excited for the clean slate. But somehow by the end of January or into February and March, people kind of lose that momentum and things just revert back to normal. And people revisit their resolutions on the 31st of December and wonder what went wrong. So I was just doing a little bit of introspection, trying to figure out what has been the pattern for me in previous years for not accomplishing certain goals or kind of just letting things fall through the cracks. And weirdly enough, I've figured out that one of the biggest problems is timelines. So these could be timelines that I have subjected myself to, timelines that society infers upon us. Just the idea that I have to have accomplished certain things at a certain age. And I actually fell prey to this again a couple of days ago. So, I started off the year on a very positive note, even just finishing off 2020, just looking at my year and looking forward to what I would like to do this year. And I figured out my top 10 goals for 2021. I did my vision board, everything's great. And then a couple of days ago, I was on LinkedIn, just trying to see how I should, update my profile, blah, 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 that sort of stuff. And then I saw some profiles of previous classmates, And when I did that, it was like, I just felt like a failure in a sense, because I'm like, I should at least be doing my master's now or, working or something, in the sense of working along the lines of what I studied. And I just ended up having a very kind of sour taste in my mouth of, I really should be doing more. I'm such a failure and my life sucks. And I had to quickly pull myself out of that and to realize that, we're all in different timelines and I cannot measure my progress based off of someone else's life because first of all, our circumstances and life experiences shape our trajectory. It's foolish for me to measure my trajectory based off of someone else's trajectory when I don't know anything about their life. Maybe you can't even assume, you can't even make assumptions because you will never know the path that someone has taken and the things they've been through and the things that have been available to them, or maybe they worked harder than you did or whatever it is they did. You don't know, so it's foolish to measure yourself up against someone else. And this is something that I think a lot of people obviously struggle with, especially when you're considering your peers, or more so considering people you were classmates with and stuff like that, where you're like, yeah, I could have done more, but I'm not. And why is that, So for me, anyone who knows me knows, I've always been the kind of person who really takes my time. I really take time to think about things and to really figure stuff out. I don't like feeling stuck. For example, let's say in a program that I absolutely hate. So I could have gone straight off to do my master's when I completed my undergrad, but I was a bit hesitant to do so because I wasn't sure yet what I wanted to specialize in. So for other people, that would seem super fickle, like, dude, you're wasting so much time, you could be on another level now and all that. But I don't know, in as much as I would like to think of myself as not having to do a lot of work on being patient, I feel like I don't put myself under too much pressure when it comes to making important decisions, because this is something I'll have to stick with for the rest of my life. So I better enjoy it, and I better, it better be something that I'm excited to wake up for in the morning and go to work for, study for, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's been good. I feel like over the past year, over the past couple of years, I actually worked in ministry because I was considering working in ministry full time. And then, I ended up just deciding that I would like to study further because I felt like the kind of work I was doing is work that I can still do even if I'm working in any other industry. So, yeah, I suppose that's a story for another day, how I came to that decision and all that. But yeah, I think it was a really great decision. I grew a lot. I learned a lot about myself, about people, about God, about just a lot. I learned a lot and I grew so much as a person, and I don't regret making that decision. But of course, there's a part of me sometimes that is like, should I have just gone straight to study? Should I not have taken the year off to do something else? Like, it's difficult, especially now when I look at my classmates and I'm like, oh man, they're progressing. That could have been me, And the truth is, had I taken the decisions that they did, who knows, maybe I would have dropped out or something. Like, I don't actually have any proof of my life having taken that same why do I keep saying trajectory? It's not even a word. Anyway, there's no proof of my life having taken the same trajectory had I made the same decisions. So, yeah, I think I've just made peace with the fact that I'm always where I'm supposed to be. Everything that happens is supposed to happen for a reason, The experiences that I have, the opportunities that I have, everything is by design. And I feel like this is often a difficult concept for people to grasp because we like to think, we do have free will and all that good stuff. But to a certain extent, it's like, this is something that is also very difficult for me to kind of grasp. But there's a sense in which everything is by design, in as much as we have free will and all that. So it's like, you can always be rest assured that you are exactly where you need to be. And your path and your story is different from the next person. So you cannot measure your life against someone else's because you're two very different people with different purposes, different callings on your life. If I hadn't taken time out, for example, this year, I wouldn't have started my business. I wouldn't have started my YouTube channel. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't have done if I had gone straight into studying because I just wouldn't have had the time. And I would have thought, no, I can't do that. There's no way I can balance everything and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm actually grateful for the path that I'm on now. And yes, sometimes it's tempting to feel like I should be somewhere else. But I am also very mindful of the benefits that I have, or rather the benefits of having taken the path that I did. And I can see how that is by divine design and how things are just going the way they should. And I definitely have to continue to learn to trust God more and to continue to put effort. When I talk about things being by divine design and talk about parts being different and things and you being where you need to be, it doesn't mean that you should just sit back and think, life is just going to happen anyway, so I don't have to do anything. Absolutely not. This is not a biblical statement, but God does help those who help themselves. It's like, I don't know. It's how do you expect to accomplish anything if you're not even putting any effort, You can't just expect miracles and expect things to fall from the sky. You've got to put in some effort, and you've got to put in the work. And even when you're not where you would like to be, for example, for me, honestly speaking, I would rather be studying something I'm passionate about to build a career in that field, or actually working towards that. But at the same time, there's a sense in which I could say the things that I'm doing now are part of that, you know? And just because it's not how I would have imagined to do those things doesn't mean that I have now suddenly lost my way, you know? It's pretty interesting, actually. So, yeah. The second thing I want to talk about regarding timelines is something I read in this book. Well, actually, I was reading something that then gave me the idea for this, but it's a book called The Book of Mysteries by Jonathan Cahn. It's a really great book. It's basically a daily devotional. But one of the devotionals I was reading was talking about seeds and how when you have seeds, they have the potential to grow, but they don't actually grow until they're planted. And then only when they're planted will they take root and then actually, you know, grow and bear fruit. And then I started thinking about this in terms of timelines and, you know, life paths and all that kind of thing. And I thought, like, we are all like seeds that are just cast out and planted. We have no control on where we land or when we land, or even the resources that are available to us. So if you think of a seed, what a seed needs to grow: sunlight, good soil. Jeez. I didn't do agriculture, okay? I don't know nothing about this, but yeah, just water. What else do seeds need to grow? Fertilizer, whatever. You know, all the good stuff that seeds need to grow. You don't have control over those things. So these are the things like, you know, where you're born, the family you're born into, the opportunities that you have throughout your life, the experiences that you have, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the stuff you have no control over. But what you do have control over is the fact that you have the ability to grow. And I think this just goes to the point of growing where you're planted. It doesn't matter where you're planted. You have the opportunity to grow. And it's not wise to measure your rate of growth with someone else's rate of growth, because they have different conditions that are fostering their growth. It's wise to just focus on your own growth and to see how best can I make use of the resources that are available to me to be able to grow where I have been planted. And it's pointless to wish and think, oh, I wish I'd been planted there, or I wish I had had these resources available, or to like shift blame and to point fingers and to think, oh, if this had happened, then that wouldn't have happened, or this and that. And that's just wasting time and energy where you could literally be investing that towards your growth. So yeah, I found that really interesting when I was thinking about it, and how, you know, it's even unreasonable for society to you know, have timelines in place that people are supposed to fulfill, because no two lives are the same. I mean, even for siblings, you know, you have different experiences and you have different abilities and all that good stuff. So yeah, I just thought to share that because it was a profound epiphany, so to speak, when it came to my mind that, you know, we all have the ability to grow. We all have the ability to grow where we're planted. We are all planted, technically, by being in this world. Being in this world is the plantation of it all, or being planted. Horrible choice of word, I know, but yeah, it's the whole. It's being planted. Being in this world is being planted, and then you have the power to then decide how you're going to grow and how you're going to make the most of the resources that are available to you to grow.
Pardon the interruption. I just quickly wanted to tell you about Anchor and how you can also make your podcast today. It's free and very easy to use. All the tools that you need are right in the app. You can use it on your phone or on your computer, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and anywhere else that people listen to podcasts. Also, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, which is absolutely fantastic. So, all you need to do is to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
My final word is about how it's never too late to go for your dreams. And my favorite example to illustrate this is Colonel Harland Sanders, who started the much loved KFC. I mean, this guy started KFC when he was much, much older. And I mean, imagine if he hadn't. Well, I'm sure someone would have come up with some fried chicken brands since there's so many now. But, my point is he didn't give up on the dream that he had, Perhaps he didn't even have the dream to grow it to be as big as it became. And I think oftentimes that does happen. And I think this is just a lesson to say you should always just go after what you're passionate about, because you have no idea what it could grow into. And I think just the most important point to this is not feeling like you're too old to go for what you want to go for. Maybe you're like, I should have done this straight after high school. I should have done this straight after I graduated from, my undergrad, or I should have done this in my 20s, or whatever the condition is. A lot of people hold themselves back because they did not fulfill the timeline that they thought they should have fulfilled. So it's like, society says I must do this when ABC, but now I'm too old, or I'm too this or too that to be able to do it. That's absolute nonsense. All these things are just a construct, and you could say that it doesn't exist. You decide if those things are going to be true for your life, and if you're going to choose to live according to those standards. So yeah, it's like, it's a new year, it's a new beginning, it's a fresh slate, it's a different vibe, different energy. Even just people in general, have a different zeal and enthusiasm towards their work and towards helping other people and that sort of stuff. So the beginning of the year is always really such a perfect time to start something new. Do research into that program you want to study. Do research into that business you want to start. Reach out to people, talk to people. It's never too late. And just because where you are now is not where society says you should be, doesn't mean that you cannot accomplish your dreams, doesn't mean you cannot still go for what you need to go for. It's like, even some people will say, I'm in my 30s now, I can't get married, or I'm in my 40s, I can't get married, I should have done that in my 20s, I'm just going to die a spinster, or whatever. I mean, some people want that, and that's cool. If that's your vibe, fine. But, it's just an example. If you desire to be married, but people tell you you're too old for that, don't listen to that. Don't live by no one's timelines. One of my very, very good friends got married when she was 40 for the first time, So it's never too late to do what your heart desires. And it's just a matter of always making the most of the situation that you are in at any given point, and always just having a grateful heart and having faith and not losing hope. I think that's a big one as well, because I think comparison and considering timelines and feeling like you're left behind and feeling like a failure makes you lose hope. And without hope, we have nothing, Without hope, you don't have the drive to go for something that kind of maybe takes you out of your comfort zone, or that is just unexpected, for example, by society or whatever. So hold on to hope, hold on to faith. If you are spiritual and you're a Christian, continue to pray for the things that you desire, even when it feels like your prayers are not being answered. Don't give up, and Have a laser focused vision. Stop looking to your left and to your right to see what everyone else is doing. I feel like I always say this, but it's because of just how important I feel like it is, I have to constantly tell myself that. I literally feel like I need to, do a little bit of calligraphy and paint it somewhere to remind myself to just have focus, and focus on what I'm doing and focus on where I'm going and not worry too much about the noise and about everyone else around me, and actually just be grateful for how much I have accomplished. Because see, that's the other thing. When you spend so much time comparing yourself to others, you then feel like your own accomplishments are not adequate. Yet, oftentimes you can actually look at things you have done and be grateful for it and think, wow, God's really, done so much for me that I can be grateful for. And having an attitude of gratitude really is life-changing. And I think in some ways it actually just makes you more susceptible to noticing and realizing more opportunities and just having more goodness in your life, because that's what you are attracting, that's what you are sensitive to, because you have an attitude of gratitude and you're just looking at life from a positive perspective, which I know, because of how things have been over the past year, is a very difficult thing. A lot of people have been laid off, a lot of people have been unable to continue their studies because of finances and that sort of thing. And I am not in any way downplaying those really dire situations and how difficult things have been for a lot of people. But at the same time, there is still hope. There is still light at the end of the tunnel, and you can still dream and still be able to accomplish your goals. Just don't give up. Hold on to hope, and look on the bright side as much as you can. I really hope that you have found this encouraging, and that, that this can be a pick-me-up for you, as it has been for me, to just be contemplating these things and be thinking about them, especially because I was now falling into that pressure of timelines and society, and looking at what other people are doing and feeling like I haven't accomplished anything, which is absolutely untrue, So yeah, I hope you find the same relief I have in these truths. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. You can listen to it on YouTube on my channel, Africana Diary. If you haven't subscribed, why haven't you subscribed? But yeah, and if you're listening on any podcast channel, basically any platform where you can listen to podcasts, this will be available. Don't forget to rate it if you're listening on a platform that allows you to rate it, so that more people can hear this podcast. That would really help me out. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day and wonderful year, and that you just continue to look on the bright side. Bye.